Michelle, are you ready?
I was born ready.
She's an award-winning author, speaker, and podcast host who serves on the National Faith Advisory Council. She supported Donald J. Trump for president before it was cool. From her she shed in her beautiful backyard, this is the Michelle Moore Show.
I've been walking down this road for so long, struggled through darkness up to mountain tops, but I'll never stop, no, I'll never stop. I've been fighting with all of my might, I've been trying to get through this, I will survive. No, I will thrive, yeah, I will thrive. I am stronger than my past, stronger than yesterday. Oh, I know the storm will pass, I will never be the same. I am a warrior, I am a warrior. My soul is fire, it keeps burning brighter. I won't back down, I live it out. Let my heart shine, be brave and fight. I am a warrior, I am a warrior. Whoa. I make the best of the bad, and I've got a lion heart beating so fast, the worst of times. Make me better, so much better. Nothing can hurt me so bad that I don't make it out. Again and again, I'll never stop. I won't give up, I won't give up. I am stronger than my past, stronger than yesterday. Oh, I know the storm will pass, I will never be the same. I am a warrior, I am a warrior. My soul is fire, it keeps burning brighter. I won't back down, I live it out. Let my heart shine, be brave and fight. I am a warrior, I am a warrior. Whoa. Can't stop me now, I won't back down. Just watch me now, I'll live it out. Can't stop me now, I won't back down. Just watch me now, I'll live it out. I am a warrior, I am a warrior. My soul is fire, it keeps burning brighter. I won't back down, I'll live it out. Let my heart shine, be brave and fight. I am a warrior, I am a warrior. I am a warrior. Whoa.
Hello, everybody. So glad that you're with us today. I have to say, I love that song. It's a little bit near and dear to my heart. I don't know if I've shared this story before, but starting last January, so January 2023, I kept having the Holy Spirit just drop this word in my spirit, and it was warrior. And I thought, okay. warrior, warrior. And I kept hearing it, and I kept hearing it. And then about a month later, I had a prophetic word that was spoken over me, and they started saying that they saw like all this armor and the helmet and the like a Viking on a ship. And then I was reminded that it sounds like a warrior. And so it was just so good. And they were like, God is calling you to be a warrior. And it was like, oh my goodness, this was so good. So anyway, so when I hear that, I just smile because I know it's just so good. All right. Well, we got Jack and Margy Flynn with us today. I'm so excited. We get a health update. Jack is looking good, y'all. He is looking good. He's got such a great story. We're going to talk about that. And then they have a call to action. Now, y'all are always asking, what can we do? But what can we do? And today we have got something that you can do. And we've made it super easy. Jack and Margy have delivered the goods for it to be super easy for you. And so I'm so excited about that. We're going to go through that. And also they've got some great success stories. And so we're going to share some of that as well. So happy about bringing that to you today. First, I want to tell you, so today we were planning on having architect Richard Gage on. He's a 9/11 big time expert on all things 9/11, and especially when it comes to the architecture of the buildings and all of that. And so he had a scheduling conflict. So he's going to be here tomorrow. And I just booked somebody for next week. I'm very excited about as well on Tuesday. So we got a lot of good stuff coming up for next week. I want to also tell you right before we went live today, so I want to make sure. So the architect is here tomorrow. Earlier in the week, we had somebody else scheduled as well. And I was very worried and asked everybody to please be praying for them. They are fine. It's all good. And they will be on the show. They had a family emergency. And so it's all going to be good. And so it will be, I don't know if it'll be next week, but it will be very soon. So all is well with that too. Wanted to give you a heads up. And then today we got Jack and Margy. So here's the deal. So also I want to remind you about the documentaries that we run. We run those on Truth Talk America's Rumble channel. And then we also run them, some of them here on the Michelle Moore Show, Rumble channel and throughout the network and all that kind of good stuff. TruthTalkAmerica.com is always a great place to check out and see what's playing and what's coming up next. Producer Ron puts a lot on that, but we got the best resources, though, when it comes to documentaries and educational videos. Don't know if you know that story, but that was something really, we do that as an act of obedience to the Holy Spirit, where God had given me that word to do that. So we just do what God tells us to do. So producer Ron's always vetting and looking for new stuff. And he really puts a lot of time and effort and energy into that for you guys. So it is a gold mine of information for you. And of course, you can watch them on your TV with Amazon Fire TV, Apple TV, and Roku. So don't forget that too. Also, right before we went live, I saw this email and I had to share it. So we got an email from a viewer. She was one of the winners. So her name is Jessie. I think this is her. Yes. So Jessie sends an email with this video. She was one of the winners of Flashaganza and got a package of the tennis balls. And so her fur babies, though, I loved it. The fur babies are Taser, Starsky, and Hutch. I loved that. I thought that was a riot. And she said, funny enough, so does the cat. The cat loves them too. So let's take a look at this video.
There's more! Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness! Yes, the boys love it. Starsky, Hutch, Taser. Say thank you, Michelle. Yes! Michelle, thank you so much. You're such a blessing to so many people and an amazing woman of God. We're praying for you and your family, and we love your heart. Starsky, Hutch, Taser, and Jess, all thank you so much for putting a smile on our face. God bless.
Well, I wondered if somebody really needed a dozen tennis balls, but now I get it. I totally get it. This was a great gift too. But anyways, so that was so awesome. Thank you for sending me the video, the pictures, the videos, they really blessed me. But I wanted to share a couple of things that she said. So she goes, hey, Michelle, just wanted to drop a quick line to thank you for including us in Flash Gordon. It's Flash Moore. His name's not Gordon, but that's a good one though. Flash Gordon's 6th birthday bash. It's a birthday. It's Flashaganza. Thank you. Anyways, you got to know that I love the word ganza. I was like, I want an extravaganza. And then producer Ron came up with MICHELLEM. And now we've got Flashaganza. But anyways, it just sounds like a party you want to attend, right? And so, but says, my fur babies, Taser, Starsky, and Hutch all love the tennis balls. Funny enough, so does our cat. Thanks again for bringing some joy into our home. We just moved to Florida away from everything that we knew. Didn't know a soul here. But the more I listen to your show and as I read the comments made by the beautiful community of loyal viewers that you have, my husband and I both feel like we're part of this incredible virtual family that you've created. It just goes to show that you never know who is depending on your obedience to God and the calling that he has on your life. Thank you, Michelle and producer Ron, for being obedient and walking the treacherous path of truth. Also, there's a PSS at the end. There's a PS and a PSS, and I want to read you that second one, the PS or PPS or PSS. She says, she puts on here, she goes, when y'all were talking about how beautiful and radiant your face is from the black seed oil, she goes, I thought to myself that it's much more than that. God's light is upon you, sister. He impressed Psalm 60 on my heart for you. God bless. Isn't that amazing? And so thank you so much for such kind words. I really appreciate that. It just made my day. And I wanted to share it with you guys, the viewers. And I always say, because I want y'all to know, we have a great live chat and everything. And I always talk about the community, where we really are. And to hear someone else say that and to talk about how it has helped them, it just blesses me. And it just goes to show, even you viewers that are watching live and comment and leave things, and y'all are helping each other. Producer Ron tells me about so much of the stuff that goes on in the live chat. And so I love it because you never know when you're really encouraging someone else and how much they need it, right? And so I just love that. I thought it was so good. Annbell25 said, would love to hear some advice from Jack and Margy on fighting collection agencies. Well, we'll ask them about that. K.A. Carlson, we got another question from her. And so we'll ask Jack and Margy about that as well. And so I love it. Amy Hoffman says, thank you. And producer Ron for all that you do. Love the show. Thank you. And so it's all great. It's just one of those things where I just want to encourage you, the viewers that especially watch live and participate on the Rumble chat, because so many people just need encouragement and there's so much going on, and so, but we don't want it to always be hellfire and brimstone all the time and, Debbie Downer stuff. Not that Debbies are downers. And so I want to make sure not all Debbies are downers, right? Debbies get a bad rap, I think. But anyways, okay, so let's go on ahead and bring Jack and Margy Flynn in. I'm so excited to have them with us, our constitutionalists and our truthers. First things first, Jack, it's very clear that you are doing much better. And so tell us what's going on.
What did you say? I didn't catch you, Michelle.
Oh, I was saying, tell us about your health and how you're doing.
The health is much better. Much better.
Thank God.
I had a tough time there for about 2 months. Not sure whether I was going to make it. Neither was Margy, but we've come over the top, which is very good. Not 100%, but I'm better and I'm getting better every day. And that's the bottom line. And
that's
I'm very
awesome.
Happy about that.
That's awesome. I appreciate that. Do you want to share? So you went to the doctor. That was all good. She helped you. And then do you want to share about the other part or do you want to not share?
No, I'm happy to share about the other part by all means. And it comes from you because you mentioned your illness and why you received that illness from your position. And you made a prayer to Jesus. Yeah. And within an hour and a half, you were better. Well, yes. I listened to what you say. Okay. And it was a valid experience. Now, we're not religious at all. Okay. We're spiritual. And there are many different types of spirituality. And we have a place in our heart for Jesus. We don't necessarily buy into a lot of the information that was programmed about him because we have our own take on that. But as I say, we have a soft spot in our heart for Jesus. So I asked him to help me. I've had these problems since I was young. Okay. But they were only 2 to 3%. After the red pill and after the experience, I don't know what happened there, but something whacked me. Something bad. Okay. Went to 95%. Okay. I was really hanging on. I didn't know whether I was going to make it or not. But after I heard your experience and what you asked Jesus, I asked him too. I didn't ask him to cure me completely. I said, just bring me back to the 2 or 3% gradually. Okay, that's enough. And I'm much, much better, and I'm going to that 2%. So I'm very grateful. And if you have a problem, there's a guy up there that can help you if you want to take advantage of that, and that's Jesus.
Yeah, that's so good. And I'm so glad that you're doing so much better. You look a night and day better. I mean, you were looking pale, and so I'm so glad.
It's
And
good to be back with the living, believe me.
it's great to have you back. Okay, so Jack and Margy's hair is looking good. I'm just waiting for the comments because Margy's hair is looking so good. And so, okay, so let's go on ahead and get started. So we have a call to action, and we have some other stories too that we want to go over. And I've got viewer comments and questions already for you guys. So let's go ahead and get started. So you have both been working to help a gentleman. Why don't you go on ahead and explain what is going on?
Okay, all right. First of all, we saw that film and the video about the song regarding the warrior. The theme was the warrior.
Yes.
The American society must become a unified warrior against the insidious satanic evil being committed upon them every day by governments that are not constitutional governments and no authority to exist. Okay? We have to understand that America was founded by great men, but there are also other men who founded America who weren't so great. All right. And it was a schism as to which way America was going to go. Well, America has gone the path of evil, absolute evil. It's everywhere. Okay. And those who serve evil are evil. So those who serve evil governments are evil, perpetrating evil upon the system. Okay. Meaning the people, because the people are the real system. They're the real government. Now, what do I mean by evil? Well, is income tax evil? To take money from you when you earn that money to give it to a corrupt government that is not the United States of America,
corporation for business,
but the UN, okay, and the International Banking Fund, when not one dime of that income tax goes to pay any expenses for America or the people, that's evil. Okay. When you are paying state income tax the same way, that's evil. There's no constitutional authority for income tax. There's no constitutional authority for state tax. Okay. Is there any constitutional authority for property tax? Zero. None. Okay. Is there any constitutional authority for the vast numbers of wars we have fought that have killed tens of millions of American people and devastated our nation? No. Okay. So we as a people must come together as a society of warriors, collectively and individually, to fight this absolute corruption. Now, I'm going to say something that might sound crazy, but today's program could be the most important program you ever hear in your lives, ever, because we're going to get to the crux of the matter. And we're going to show you how you can get out of this evil system if you so choose. We have two positions we're going to discuss. One is a case and one is constitutional authority. Okay, and we'll also discuss some victories. All right, in this particular situation, the case, there was a young Christian fellow, nice guy, young Christian family man, okay, good as gold, never had a ticket, never had a problem, virtuous fellow, driving home from work one night, traveling home from work one night, going through Oklahoma where his appointment was up to Kansas where he lives. And all of a sudden he gets stopped by these thugs dressed in sheriff's uniforms. All right. There's no reason to stop the guy. None. Zero. They claim that he was going 10 miles over the speed limit. And for going 10 miles over the speed limit, they beat the hell out of him, pulled him out of his car, roughed him up, pulled a gun on him, could have killed him, could have tasered him, and took him away to jail for no lawful reason. Zero. There was not one lawful reason as to why he was stopped. Therefore, he never should have been stopped. The question is why he was stopped. Well, the system claims that he was going 10 miles over the speed limit. There's no charge of going 10 miles over the speed limit. Then when the system brought him into jail, they said he was drunk. There's no charge that he was drunk because he wasn't drunk.
No.
And then they said he was eating gummy bears, so he was consuming marijuana.
Which he wasn't.
He was not. He was eating the gummy bears that are sold all over Oklahoma
Legally.
Yeah.
and not loaded with
No,
marijuana.
They're medical.
They're medical. There's no marijuana in them. So all of these reasons given were false reasons. Then he gets into jail. He's in there for 21 hours. Okay. Cruel and unusual punishment. One of the
Guards.
jail guards grabs him. Now, this fellow, his name is Chris, our friend. Chris is handcuffed. Okay. He's incapacitated. He doesn't know what's going on. One of the guards grabs him and throws him to the floor. Okay. Mistreats him and takes photos of him that Chris never agreed to. Chris is in jail, as I say, for 21 hours. He can't get out because the court said you have to post a bond of $2,290 in cash on a Saturday morning. So his wife had to rush to the court the next day, dig up $2,290 in cash for his bond. Okay? Now, when this fellow actually went to the court for a hearing, there've been 5 hearings on this, actually 6 hearings.
Well over a year.
Yeah. The court is a absolutely unconstitutional, treasonous, terrorist, communist court, as all courts are in this country, all of them. There's no exception, okay? This is what the people must understand. We live in a hellhole controlled by evil, and we have to stop that evil, and we have to take us out of the hellhole and bring us back into the Constitution, okay? So when this fellow, Chris, goes to court for the first time, he used our methods. He qualified the judge, which we always do. Have you taken? You've taken an oath.
You may know that we've done.
Yeah, well, we've said this before, but I'll say it again. As soon as the judge convenes the court, the judge will come to us and ask us if we're ready. We say, no, not at this time. We have a few matters we have to discuss and clarify, which I have the right to do under due process of law. So if the judge doesn't know us, he says, go right ahead. And we say immediately, you and the prosecuting attorney have taken oaths to support the Constitution for the United States of America. Okay? Is that correct? Is that correct? We pause for a second. Is that correct? If he's not a fool, he'll answer yes. Well, Chris did this. He asked the same, or made the same statement, asked the same confirming question. And the judge said yes. And then immediately proceeded to deny every possible right that and every possible due process position that Chris had. And that is what these courts
And they're
do.
not courts, they're tribunals. They don't
You
serve
know,
court.
Michelle knows,
Yes.
and I think your audience knows, that
Yeah.
all of these courts are not courts at all. They don't operate under Article 3 of the Constitution, okay? They operate as for-profit corporations, and they're listed in Dun and Bradstreet, operating as for-profit corporations. Well, the for-profit corporation is not authorized in Article 3 at all. Therefore, it's a fraudulent system betraying the American people, pretending that it's a legitimate court while it kills their constitutional rights all the time. Okay? I hate to pat our own back, and it's not patting our own back, it's the truth. Margy and I and our people are the only people in this country, in the history of the country, who won thousands of cases against this insidiously evil system. No one else wins. Okay? Why? Because they don't use the Constitution. And if they use the Constitution, they don't know what they're doing. Most of them use lawyers, and the lawyers sell them down the drain. So we have to get a lot smarter, a lot faster, a lot wiser. All right. After a whole series of hearings in which the same nonsense took place, okay, in which the judge denied every motion that Chris ever filed with the court, including a motion to claim and exercise constitutional rights and other motions regarding due process of law, all of which was denied, okay. He filed affidavits with the court against the perpetrators, and the judge denied the affidavits, which is impossible. You cannot deny an affidavit by saying it has no application. An affidavit is a valid, lawful document. And if that affidavit is not rebutted by the sheriffs, and he sent the affidavits to the sheriffs, then they admitted to all of the crimes and unconstitutional actions Chris specified in those affidavits. This judge denied Chris his discovery, for God's sakes. Denied him his discovery, threw it out like it was nothing. Denied him his witnesses, threw them out like it was nothing. This man is insane. I mean, he's not only unconstitutional, he's insane. Because no sane man who's taken an oath to the Constitution would ever do something like this. But they all do it. Why? Because they get away with it. Why? Because the people don't hold them to it. Chris held them to it. All right? Now, there's so much pressure put upon Chris in these 5 different hearings that we said, okay, this is a bag of bones. In other words, this is as low as you can possibly get. I mean, here's a guy, get this situation, a guy traveling alone at night after work, getting stopped by 4 thugs, could have been killed because the guy who pulled the gun on him was rabid. He was saying, let's go, guys, let's break it up, break the door. Come on, we got something to go on. Well, that's the mark of a madman. That's the mark of a guy who's got a gun ready to shoot someone. And this is what happens all over this country all the time. Cops and sheriffs are killing people all the time. And they're getting away with it all the time. Why? Because the people let them get away with it. The people let government get away with murder all the time. We can't allow this to happen. We have to become the warrior, okay? We have to become a warrior nation who will warrior and protect our own rights, because the government is not doing that. The government is killing our rights, all right? So we said, all right, nothing is going on here. We're dealing with insanity. So what we will do is something we've done before. We will put constitutional pressure upon the court from lots of people. And we've done this before with great success. So we wrote to our list, and we have thousands of people on our list, and we wrote to all of them. We asked them to write letters to this court, to the judge, to the prosecutor, to the DA, to the sheriff, to the head judge, to the governor, to the attorney general, and discuss the absolute unconstitutional actions that are taking place in America against an innocent guy who didn't do anything. Whereas you see all of these aliens in the country, they're raping women, they're killing women, they're sodomizing little boys, okay? And they let them out of jail. They say, go ahead, go away. We're not going to touch you. That is insanity. Compare the situation. A nice guy who did nothing compared to these animals who are hurting people, and our system lets them out of jail. That is insane, okay? That is absolute evil. So he said, all right, lists, write to the court, write to all your lists, and ask them to write to the court, okay? And they did. We don't know how many letters went to the court, but a bunch, all right? As soon as the court got the letters, the court said, oh my God, we're in trouble, because we've been publicly exposed. And this is what the American people have to do. They have to publicly expose the courts and the crimes committed by government. Don't keep silent about it. Get out there and publicly expose it. Okay? So because the court was publicly exposed, we believe, and we have no absolute guarantee that this is the case, but we believe the higher ups, possibly the governor, or maybe not, maybe less than that, the head judge, or someone with a brain, said, this is too hot. Dismiss this case. Get rid of it. Get it off the books. because we look bad. The people all over the nation know how evil Rogers County Court in Oklahoma is and how evil the sheriffs are in Rogers County. We can't take this exposure. Stop it. Okay? So Chris goes to a pre-trial hearing on Monday.
This past Monday, yeah.
And we said to Chris, look, we can't guarantee what the court is going to do, but chances are they're going to want to dismiss this. But be very careful of what they offer, because they're sneaks and they're liars, and what they say they will never do, because they will change things and you won't even know it. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Chris didn't commit any crime. He was charged with driving without a license. He has a license. Marijuana. Okay, they dropped that. They dropped the drunken driving charges. They say he resisted arrest. Okay, he didn't resist arrest. They say he endangered the police. He didn't endanger the police. First of all, we have the right, guaranteed in the Fourth Amendment, to protect our lives, okay, our property, okay? We have that guaranteed right against unreasonable searches and seizures. There's no reason this guy was stopped. They probably, and this is my opinion, I can't guarantee it, they probably stopped him to steal money from him, which they do all over the country. Cops grab people for no reason, they steal money from them, all right? That's probably what happened for him. And the money goes to the county and the cops probably get a take. I mean, the cops are the worst vermin in the world. You know, people think cops are great. No, they're not. The cops are your enemy. The government is your enemy. The cops serve your enemy, the government. They don't serve you. And yeah, there are good cops out there, I admit, but the good cops support the bad cops. So how good are the good cops? They're not. We have to get a lot sharper and wiser and smarter about the actual realities in this world. So let's get back to the case.
I want to, and wait a minute, real quick, Jack. I just want to interject because we do have so many new viewers that they may not know this, but part of it too is there's a victimless. There's no crime, so there was no grounds to pull him over. He has the right to travel. We've taught this on the show before, but I just want to recap because I'm sure there's people that don't know these things. We're not drivers, we're travelers, and we have the right to travel. And you shouldn't be pulled over if there is no other victim. It's your constitutional right. So even this whole thing about a speed limit being posted, let's say it's posted at 45 and you get pulled over because you're going 48 or 49 or 50. It doesn't matter unless you've hit somebody or hurt someone in some way, shape, or form. You're not supposed to be pulled over for speeding or anything else for that matter.
You're absolutely correct. Unless there is a crime reported to the police by someone who was injured by your action, there's no crime.
Yeah.
So you're absolutely 1,000,000% correct. But the cops don't need to have a crime to grab someone. I mean, when Margy and I give seminars, we spell out about 20 different cases in which these are cases, federal cases, in which the government says, yeah, you can kill someone and get away with it. You can lie about someone and get away with it. You can accuse someone of a crime who never committed a crime and get away with it. You can retain exculpatory evidence that could have exonerated this guy. That's all acceptable to this evil governmental system. Go ahead.
What I want to say is, under this crooked, unconstitutional, phony system, it's a de facto governmental system, all of this is considered okay, but it's not okay. And this is something that the American people have quietly and tacitly admitted to because they haven't done anything to change it. Now, yes, individual people from time to time do so. Our students and followers do so because they know that they have rights secured to them in the Constitution. And those rights are inherent. They're unalienable. They can't be taken away. And so they will speak truth to this so-called power. But the average American doesn't know that. And because of that lack of knowledge, that ignorance, the people in this country have absolutely nothing on a large scale to show this illegitimate, fraudulent corporate behemoth that has taken over our lawful governments, that we are onto them and we're not going to let them get away with it. This is the whole crux of what we're trying to do here, to get people to understand that these boneheads don't have any constitutional authority to even exist. The governments are not lawful governments. Therefore, people in those offices are not in a lawful position to do anything to the American people. And yet they get away with this nonsense all the time. They ruin people's lives over absolutely nothing. This young fellow, Chris, has been living a nightmare for over a year. He has a wife and 2 young kids.
He lost his job.
He lost part of his clientele in Oklahoma because of this cloud over his head with a legal action. He couldn't keep his license for insurance in Oklahoma. And this is impacting them financially. They cannot afford this. They're struggling like all young families are just to survive and put food on the table and pay their bills. And this court doesn't care one whit about whether this guy is innocent, about his rights, nothing. They're in a system that has gotten away with murder, literally and figuratively. And as long as the people remain silent, this will continue. It's up to we the people to say, we've had enough. We put our foot down. We've drawn the proverbial line in the sand, and they're not going to get away with it any longer. And that's why we sent all of those emails out to our students and followers and said, look, you're always saying, well, we want to help. We want to help. Here's an opportunity to do something right now. Put pen to paper, type up an email, and send it to these thugs, because that's what they are. They're masquerading as public officials, and they have no business to do so, because all of them have sworn oaths to the de facto counterfeit 1871 Constitution, meaning they are not lawfully in office. Because remember, we've discussed this on the show before. In 1871, when the 41st Congress decided to create a new constitution under the guise that it was for DC, just logic would tell you right away, now, wait a minute, if they went ahead and did this for DC, don't you think they would have said, this is a constitution for the District of Columbia, where the head of our government is located? They never said that, did they? Gee, I wonder why. You don't think it was because they were trying to pull a fast one on the people, knowing that most people really didn't have access to what was going on in these arenas? So there's, it's the Constitution, whether it's or doesn't matter, does it? Yeah, it does matter. And the intention behind it was to further tighten the grip that the central bankers have had on this country from the beginning, and that they have over the entire world. This is all part of their plan. By doing that, they converted what was a constitutional republic into a corporate, quote unquote, democracy, which is not what our founders intended for the United States.
Therefore, it's prohibited by the Constitution of 1787.
That's right.
Period.
The Constitution is very explicit in what it says. It's not a large document, but it's very specific. And if something isn't specifically stated in there, then that means there's no authority for any aspect of government, legitimate or otherwise, to claim that they have the authority to do that particular thing. There's no authority for what they've done. And yet the people have been silent for a long, long time now. And it's time for the people to realize that by being silent, they are complicit in their own enslavement and then their own potential demise.
Well, our people weren't silent. They responded for Chris.
No, that's right.
And this court is the Rogers County Court in Oklahoma. Okay. Rogers County is someplace that you guys might want to stay away from. Because they're crazy, okay? And they will probably harm you for no reason that you caused, that would require them to harm you, okay? It's just as you mentioned before, Michelle. Anyway, to make a long story short, the pretrial takes place. And as we said to Chris, there's a possibility they'll try to dismiss. Well, the court wanted to dismiss right away, okay?
And the difference was the letters. They had received some letters already.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, all over the country. Rogers County is known all over the country as a corrupt, evil, satanic system, okay? I would stay away from Rogers County. I'll never. I'll probably never go to Oklahoma again, okay? Never. Because if they treat people like this, why do you want to go to a state that treats people like this?
Yeah.
Anyway, the system wanted to dismiss the case right away. They didn't want to hear anything.
A conditional dismissal.
They wanted to dismiss it right away on their terms, okay? They were going to
Okay.
drop 2 charges and retain the charges against Chris for resisting arrest and
Interfering with
officers. Chris called
Okay.
us up. I said, no, I wouldn't take that. You didn't resist arrest and you didn't interfere with the officers, did you? He said, no. I said, well, why would you ever plead guilty to something you never did? I would not take that at all. Now, theoretically, the 2 charges were going to be dropped. Then after he admitted to the other 2 charges, they were supposed to drop those charges. I told him, you can't trust anything this court says. It has to be in writing, 47 pages, okay, because you cannot trust anything they say. They are consummate liars, and they've proven it many, many times.
Yeah.
We said to Chris, do what you want, though. All right, you want to get rid of this. If you want to get rid of this, fine, go ahead. So he called us back later, and he said, I'm considering taking it. We said, it's up to you. We wouldn't. He argued with the court for 2 hours, okay? The court held up this entire matter for 2 hours while this was being argued by Chris in the court. And other people who were waiting to get into the court, this is on a Friday now, couldn't get into the court. On Monday. And there were a bunch of prisoners who were supposed to go to the court. They couldn't get into the court either. So the court wanted to dismiss the case. Chris said, no, I'm not going to take the deal because I did not do what you want me to claim I did. I am not guilty of that.
I don't lie.
I'm a Christian. I'm an honest man. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to take your inducement to make me lie or commit perjury because you're a fraud. No, I'm not taking the deal. And the court went bananas. They got very, very upset because likely, again, no guarantee, but likely pressure was put on the court from above to dismiss the case. And the court, in its usual stupidity, did not dismiss the case. They only dismissed 2 charges and left 2 charges on. And that's what Chris said, no. He said, no, I'm not going to do it.
Did the right thing.
Okay.
He said something else. He said,
yes, he did to the whole court.
Jesus stood up for the truth, and he gave his life for the truth. He wouldn't be backed down. He said, if he could do that, then I guess I can stand up, and even if I have to go to jail, I'm not going to lie. I'm going to tell the truth.
And he said that to the whole court.
Yeah.
And it's on the record. Okay.
They were
So
not happy.
this guy is a real, what you call in the old days, a stand-up guy who does the right thing, who's not going to bow into pressure just to get a deal that's a bad deal. He did the right thing.
He did the right thing, not the easy thing, and
Right.
I commend him for it.
Now,
No,
what kind of court is this? Is this like a
It's a county,
Mickey
it's a
Mouse
county
court.
court. It's supposedly a district court of Rogers County or some nonsense. Okay.
okay?
It's a Mickey Mouse court is what it is because it doesn't uphold the Constitution. So it's not a genuine court.
Okay.
Look, all courts are supposed to uphold the Constitution. No court in this country, not one,
Nope.
upholds the Constitution. So what are we doing allowing these courts to operate when they're dumping all over the supreme law of the land? This is what I mean about the people becoming a warrior. That film was a good film. We have to have the warrior mentality. Now, we're asking the people who are listening, who, if they understand what we're talking about and can relate to what we're talking about, regarding a guy, a young Christian family guy going home, minding his own business, who got brutalized by this system, okay? We are asking you to write letters to this court. Now, we sent Michelle 8 letters we sent to the court, okay? Those 8 letters are on her website or wherever she posted them. And you can use those letters as an example to formulate your own letters, or you can use the exact letters as stated in our letter, just sign your own name and send it into the court. We would like thousands, tens of thousands of letters to go to this court.
I love it.
Okay. Now, we've done this before in other jurisdictions, and we were very successful. And that's what happens when you put pressure upon a corrupt system. Now, let me get into something else, which is very important. As I said
Before
before,
we do that, I just want to let the viewers know So we got these letters, and I didn't realize that Jack and Margie had sent them. So they're not on the website yet, but as soon as the show is over, it'll take me about 5 minutes to get them up. But I have received them from Jack and Margie, just didn't realize it. So we'll have them up on MichelleMooreShow.com within about 5 minutes after the show.
Thank you,
And
Michelle.
we're going to move Jack and Margie's black block up to the top. So you'll see it. I'll move that up to the top. And, you know, they have other templates and different things that they've done. So they have a whole folder. And so we'll call this, you know, the Chris letter campaign, something like that. So, because his name is Chris. Okay, go on, Jack.
And the trial is being held on the 24th, which is coming up very quickly. So we would appreciate it, really sincerely appreciate it, as would Chris and his family, if you folks in large numbers write letters to this court, okay? Because we have to bring pressure upon a corrupt system. Now, I mentioned earlier, there's a second position here. And the second position is more important than the first position I just discussed. There is no government in America, and no government in America, none, zero, and no officer who works for the government in America who has constitutional authority to serve in office. Now, Margy mentioned this before, but let me get into it a little bit. The original organic Constitution of 1787, okay, the Constitution for the United States of America, as amended with the Bill of Rights in 1791, is the law of the land as declared in Article 6 of that Constitution. Okay.
It's the only authentic Constitution.
Right. Article 6 of that Constitution states that all public offices are to take oaths to this Constitution, meaning the 1787 Constitution, and are bound thereby and constitutionally mandated to uphold the Constitution as the supreme law of the land over federal law, state law, and the Constitution itself, meaning any corrupt constitutions that come down the road or any corrupt amendments that come down the road. And after 10, they're pretty much all corrupt. Okay. We don't deal with anything beyond 10. We stay with 10. Okay. Now, that Constitution, again, requires everyone in the country to take an oath to this Constitution. No one in the country since 1871 has taken an oath to this Constitution, meaning the Constitution for the United States of America, circa 1787. They've all taken an oath. There may be a few exceptions, but virtually all, including the presidents, everyone across the board, have taken oaths to the treasonous, unconstitutional, counterfeit, terrorist, communist, central banker, corporate constitution of 1871 that set up the corporate state that is screwing you right into the ground without constitutional authority to do so. So the first Constitution, the legitimate Constitution, says that all have to take oaths to this Constitution. No one did. They took oaths to the 1871 Constitution. The 1871 Constitution was put into effect by a treasonous Congress that had sworn oaths to the original 1787 Constitution and was bound thereto for life. Okay? They went against that Constitution without the constitutional authority to do so and set up a central banker owned by the central banks Constitution put into place to benefit the central bankers and the corporate state that has no constitutional authority to exist, because that corporate state and the employees who work for that corporate state did not take an oath to the correct 1787 Constitution as required. They took an oath again to the corporate unconstitutional Constitution. Therefore, none of them have any authority to exist. There is no corporate entity in this country that pretends to be government that has any lawful constitutional authority to exist. Therefore, all of those who work for these corporations have no authority to exist and no authority to conduct any business of their offices. They are all traitors. They are all domestic enemy. And when I say all, I mean all. Yeah, there are good cops. Sure there are. There are some good politicians. Sure they are. But how good are they if they support the evil cops? How good are they if they support the evil
System.
system and politicians? We have to understand that we're living in a treasonous nation run by satanic evil that is decimating you by the day. Okay? We have to understand that. Go ahead.
So one of the things that I saw a question. Oh yeah, Di Laughing was saying, who can step in and arrest the judge and the officers for warring against the Constitution?
The American people can if they unite in unison. If you have a crowd of 500 people go in to arrest that judge, do you think anyone's going to stop that crowd?
Probably not.
Okay. And if it comes to violence, hey, look, violence is part of the world. Jesus died in violence, did he? He did the right thing, just as Chris said to the court. Jesus died in violence because he did the right thing. Well, I'm going to do the right thing just as he did. So the American people have to get off their backsides and start doing the right thing for the right reason, not the wrong reason.
Okay. All right. So we'll have the folder there for everybody. There's 8 letters. And so we'll have that. It'll be the first black rectangle. Let's talk about, so I've been following a case where you had a student who had quite the journey as well. And it ended up ending very well. And I wanted to share a couple of great stories of some success stories where people fought back and how it worked. And so take it away.
All right. This goes to a fellow named Tom Olmsted. T.O. He's a nice fellow, a wealthy guy, intelligent guy, man of the world. He's not stupid. He's out there. He knows his rights. He's well aware of the existing realities that take place in this country. And to make a long story short, without getting into a lot of detail, he got into trouble twice with police who were targeting him. Okay. First time he was thrown in jail, and we didn't know him at this time. He didn't know us.
No, he didn't go to jail the first time.
Yes, he did.
No, that was the second case, Jeff. It was his properties. I have to correct it because I don't want to say the wrong thing. The first time he was stopped, it was a traffic stop. He used somebody else's method. He followed David straight. And David was helping him. And so he just sent some documents in and thought that was the end of it. And he found out the hard way that they made an ex parte ruling against him and fined him just under $1,600 for his crime. I guess not having a plates or license or whatever. So
$1,600,
almost $1,600. Yeah, there were
they
two
soak
charges.
the people. That's how they make their money, and they cut it up.
It's outright thievery. Anyway, it's piracy.
Yeah.
So he didn't know about us at the time, but subsequently he learned about us and he started paying attention to the things that we do. He thought, these guys have something going. So he had an issue with a property that he owns in one of the neighboring towns. And it was absurd. The town was trying to impose a bunch of conditions upon him, which are totally unconstitutional against his rights. So he said, well, what'd you guys do? So we told him. So he acted in that fashion. He went to court, and the judge was a woman who was real nasty. And because he was advocating for his rights and showing how this law can infringe upon his rights, it can't be a law, it infringes upon his rights, she threw him in jail. Well, it was only just a few days or whatever, but, he said, I'm in jail for contempt for advocating for my rights. And we said, yeah, that's what this corporate system does. It crushes people who speak up for their rights.
And there's a very famous case, Miller versus the United States. Yeah. The claim and exercise of a constitutional right cannot be converted into a crime. And the courts do it all the time.
Which is what happened to him. Well, anyway, he fought the process, and he did it constitutionally as we suggested we would do, and he won. Okay, he prevailed, and the city left him alone and stopped imposing these ridiculous restrictions upon him. So subsequently he gets stopped again, because he was targeted by local police, and they put him through the same process again, and he did all the things that we suggested we would do. And because he kind of scared them, because he had so much knowledge of the Constitution, cited a lot of very important cases that support the right to travel, which goes against what they were saying he was doing, they got a little nervous. So the prosecutor decided to submit motions in limine to the court, which are motions which asked the court not to allow certain things to be brought up during the trial, because Tom had asked for a trial by jury. So he sent us the motions, and they were laughable. So we said, oh, we can't let this stand. So we said, Tom, you need to write your own motions in limine. And in the meantime, we're going to do something. We're going to send these motions out to our list to let them see what these clowns are trying to do to you. And we're going to ask them to express their outrage and disapproval in letters. So they did.
So what were some of the things that that were on the list? Is this the one where they didn't want him talking about his constitutional rights?
They did not want Tom to speak of the Constitution in his defense.
Guaranteed therein.
His rights guaranteed therein. They did not want him to speak about any of the cases which uphold his right to travel. And lastly, they did not want him to mention that the judge and the prosecutors have to take oath to the Constitution and are required to abide by them in the performance of their official duties.
Complete violations of due process of all the way.
Put a masking tape over the poor guy's mouth. So, this was a treasonous motion. So this is how we showed this to the people on our list, and they wrote letters that were very pointed, I would say very pointed, and excoriated the man acting as judge and the idiot that acted as prosecutor, and it scared the you-know-what out of them. So long story short, all of a sudden, they decide that they probably, should have not done what they did, because they actually threw Tom in jail a second time because he dared to speak for his rights. He didn't do anything wrong. He just spoke his rights. And while he was in jail, his heart went into atrial fibrillation, which is very dangerous. And they let him out a little bit early. And he said to us, I'm not ready to go to this next hearing. I said, well, you know what? File for a continuance. So he said, all right, I'm going to ask him for 30 days. And he did. In the courtroom, the judge said, I'm going to give you 60 days. And he said, if you need more time, Mr. Olmsted, you just let me know and you can have as much time as you need. Tom said, wow.
That's because the letters were coming in.
Yes.
By the
flashlight was shining on the cockroaches and they didn't like it. So all of a sudden, the tone completely changed. Instead of Tom being, enemy number one here,
he was their
best friend. And the prosecutor decided to go ahead and dismiss the case. And he told Tom that he could probably get the charges that were alleged against him that prior year that were done ex parte expunged, vacated. So Tom said, well, okay. And he said, all you need to do is write a motion to vacate and I won't oppose it. Okay. So Tom writes the motion and he says to him, but I want to see if I can get this thing vacated, this recent one, because there's the same issue involved. And the prosecutor said, well, I can't really, say I'm on board with that. But, if you want to put it in there, go ahead. We'll see what the judge says. So they go to court and the judge and the prosecutor play their roles. The judge says, we have a motion before the court to vacate, blah, blah, blah. The prosecution stands up and says, yeah, the prosecution does not oppose. And then Tom brings up the fact that he wants to vacate this recent charge. And the prosecutor goes through his act about, well, I can't go along with that, blah, blah, blah. And just now, wait a minute. We have to be fair here. If we're going to go ahead and vacate these charges, since it's a similar situation, we need to go ahead and vacate this one too. So I am going to vacate these charges, and I'm going to refund Mr. Olmsted the fines that he had to pay for those charges. He said, Mr. Olmsted, when we're done here, you go over to the clerk's office and she will show you how we're going to get you your money back. And sure enough, they vacated all of the charges. They refunded every cent that he paid, and he got a letter from the Secretary of State. So stating, okay?
That's the power of the people. That's the power of people pressure.
Yeah.
Now, we use it two ways. We use constitutional pressure first in the court.
Yes.
And if that doesn't work, we use people pressure, okay, to make sure the constitutional position is upheld by the corrupt court. And the corrupt courts will uphold the constitutional position because of their exposure. Okay. Right. Now, can this happen across the country? Yeah. This can happen across the country if the American people will do what we have done all our lives.
Yeah.
Okay. And what we have done is pretty easy. I mean, it takes some work, but it's pretty easy because it accomplishes the objective. Most people get involved in all sorts of work and they never accomplish their objective. We always do because we're based on the authority of the Constitution. So this can be used by people all across the country. All they have to do is if they see a case in which the court is totally, completely unconstitutionally hoodwinking someone without offering any justice whatsoever, then people who want to support the defendant in that case can write to their lists and have all of their list or a goodly number of their list write to the court and put pressure upon that court for the unconstitutional actions that court has committed. Now, this is how the American people can help, number one, their fellow Americans, and number two, America, and number three, themselves.
Yeah.
Okay?
I want to interject a thought.
So this is why we have to become warriors.
I want to just make a point here. I know that this is something that gives people pause because most Americans are under a spell where they have this misguided and really fraudulently derived belief in the authority of this phony corporate government. And they think that these boneheads have the right and the duty and the authority to do what they want to do. They don't. First of all, government has no rights. It either has authority for what it does or it doesn't. And remember, if they don't uphold the Constitution for the United States of America, all of it, including the Bill of Rights, in their actions against the people, then they have no authority to do anything. That ends the game. It's like, okay, done. It's over with, done and dusted. But the people don't know that. They think that the statutes and codes are more important because they're current and they're more prescient. No, they're not. The statutes and codes are part of the corporate system, which has been developed and designed to be complicated, very complex, to make sure that the people do not understand what is happening. And all of that is subservient to the Constitution for the United States of America. Now, when you know that, and you go into a courtroom and you see a judge or a prosecutor or a police officer acting in a way that violates the Constitution and purges their oath, then as an American citizen with the inherent political power to speak truth to these so-called authorities, you have the right and the duty and the authority to let them know that you've observed them committing a crime. And there's absolutely no retribution that should come to you because this is your right, your duty, and you do have the authority because you're one of the we the people, and we the people are the de jure, the true government of America, the Republic. This is what the people have to get in their heads. They have to put aside all of the programming that's been pushed on them since they were babies and understand that we are the ones that are calling the shots. We're supposed to be the masters. They're supposed to be our servants. They're in place to run this country constitutionally and to do what the will of the people commands them to do, not the other way around. They've turned it upside down. They tell us what to do, and people just blindly obey. And in so doing, they're basically complicit in violating their own constitutions. And that doesn't make any sense. From a logical point of view, if we want to be free, and if we want justice to come back into this country and we want sanity to return to America, we have to demand good governance. And the only way we're going to do that is by and through the Constitution and holding these people to their oath. And when they fail their oaths, we have to lawfully remove them and replace them with people who will uphold their oaths and uphold every aspect of the Constitution as our founders intended.
As Margy and I have said forever, and as I think a lot of people are understanding, the only ones who can save America, and I mean save America, are the people. The government is not going to save America. Your state government is not going to save America. The banks are not going to save America. The army is not going to save America. The army is communist. It's been communist for a long time. The whole nation is communist, for God's sakes. All right? We have to understand the existing realities in which we live. Therefore, if you're interested in America, not only interested, if you love America and love America for what it stands for and what it used to be at one time, you can bring that back by standing up for your Constitution and your constitutional republic and taking lawful action against these domestic enemies that serve in your own community. You live in a community of domestic enemies, okay? Yeah, they serve, but they serve
themselves.
They serve the corporate government, which is a communist, unconstitutional government that has no authority to exist. So we've spelled out two positions here. One position by which the American people can help other people who are being persecuted unmercifully in the court system. And that's happening all over the country. And number two, we've spelled out, and this is not my viewpoint, not Margy's viewpoint, not Michelle's viewpoint. This is the constitutional position, okay? Everyone in this country, with very few exceptions, who serves in government, or who, when I say serves, I mean serves a corporate system, doesn't serve the people, all right, works for evil. Evil controls, okay? It has no constitutional authority to exist. And if it has no constitutional authority to exist, it cannot lawfully tell you to pay taxes, tell you to go to jail, tell you to do anything, because it has no authority, okay? It's like, a football game, all right? Some baseball referee runs in from the other side, he's going to make a call. No, get the hell out of here. You have no authority. The point is, you either have authority or you don't. And not one, including the President of the United States, in this country has lawful authority to exist in his position. Not one. Period.
All right. Jack, Margy, this has been so good. Okay, so we got a lot of viewer questions and comments. So producer Ron, if you'll grab those, we'll have to have Jack and Margy back so we can answer some of these questions that we've been getting. And I appreciate you. So the trial for Chris is the 24th. And so we're talking about 10 days? So we're talking about writing, 8 letters? They're already really written for everybody. You can edit them. They're going to be in a Word format, so you can edit them as you like. And then, but this is providing what Jack and Margy sent. And so as an example, and it shows all the addresses and everything, but people ask all the time. And so we're giving you something, and Jack and Margy have already agreed that they'll come back and they're going to give us an update and tell us how it all happened, as far as how it went when all this happens. Jean Green says that she wrote letters and she's so happy that it's helping. And so that's so good.
Thank you.
Yeah. And she says, I recently got ticketed in a local park, cited for 10 miles an hour over the speed limit. I can contest it on my good driving record, but I'm hearing that I shouldn't even have gotten a ticket. I also didn't have my registration in my glove box, but I had the new plates and the stickers showing the car was recently registered, but I had forgotten to print the paper. I just got a warning for this, but I am thinking that I shouldn't be required to have a copied copy. They can look it up anyway. Good point.
Let's look at it from this point of view on this particular situation. From a lawful perspective, no one in this country can be prohibited from traveling. And no restrictions can be put on traveling. What is a license? It's a restriction on traveling. What is registration? It's restriction on traveling. Insurance, restriction on traveling. Speed limit, restriction on traveling, because that speed limit is not a constitutional position. It's issued by the corporate jurisdiction that has no constitutional authority to issue anything. This is what I mean. We have to take off the blinders, get into the realities that the Constitution presents to us, and begin using it. Now, I know the people are upset. Okay, I don't blame the people for being upset. I mean, I'm upset. I'm upset at what's going on in America. I've been upset my entire life with what's going on in America. But it's reaching a position now in which we're ready to go into the communist hellhole. Okay, we really are. I mean, take a look at it from this point of view. You've got one candidate running for president who's an avowed Marxist communist. Avowed, okay? she is going to usher in a major communist state if she gets elected. Why in God's name is she being put up by a Democratic Party? She's being put up because that Democratic Party is a communist party supporting communism, which is against your rights. Okay.
And she's already vice president.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
Scary.
I know.
Which speaks very
Ridiculous.
sadly to the whole nature of the elections and what kind of people are put up as candidates. We're given, no choice. And we're made to think that our votes matter when in fact they don't, because they're going to rig the election this time like they did the last time. They rig everything. It's been a con job for a long, long time, folks. And it's not going to stop until the people say, no, you people have no authority. We don't take any of what you say as having any effect on us lawfully, because it doesn't. We stand on the Constitution and you're under it. And if you're not working by and through the constitutional mandates that you are mandated to uphold through the oath that you took, then you cannot hold that office, and you're out and you're done and you've got no say. Get lost. And this is what the people have to know how to do. They have to say it with conviction of the heart. Can't be tentative and timid. You got to be convicted about it. Absolutely.
Take a look at this position. Okay. The votes of the people mean nothing in this election.
No.
Zero. Just as the votes of the people meant nothing
Last time.
in the 2020 election. Okay. The powerful people who own, control, and rule America, the central bankers, the wealthy Jews, okay, the mega corporations that have hundreds and hundreds of trillions of dollars and enormous power over you, are deciding which one of these stooges is going to give us a better deal, okay? And if Harris gives them a better deal, Harris is president. If Trump gives them a better deal, Trump is president. The people have nothing to do with it. And this is what we're trying to say. The people have to understand this is their country. It doesn't belong to the central bankers, doesn't belong to the multi-trillionaires. It belongs to the people. But unless the people insert themselves in government and start doing the right thing and not the wrong thing, which they've done forever, unfortunately, then we're gone. Now, the American people had a good chance to fix the crimes of 2020 because Trump won that election. Whether you hate him or love him, he won that election. Fair is fair. If he won the election, he should have been president. But the people did zero to protect Trump. We tried. I mean, we told you what we did with Trump. We tried all the way, and he just didn't do it. But the bottom line is the people did nothing to fix that election. So why in God's name do they think this election is legitimate?
See, I want to make a point about this too. The people mean well, but they have, unfortunately, they have put their trust into a handful of people that they look at as idols, okay? People who can be heroes for them, saviors for them. And that doesn't work because the people that are in those positions, they're front men for the evil cabal. So they're not going to do anything that's going to benefit we the people ever. And once the people get a real comprehension and an understanding of this, then it's up to them to say, well, wait a minute, we've got to take back our rights because we've been robbed. We've been robbed of our rights. We've been robbed of our freedoms. We've been robbed of our money. Just look at the taxation. Look at the cost of living. None of that is necessary. All of this is nothing but price gouging. And it's designed to put America into the dustbin. And unless we do something and we notify them that we know that they don't have any authority and we kick them lawfully out of office, we are going to be living in a communist hellhole. And that's the ugly truth. And we say this and people go, yeah, but they don't get it. Get it through your heads, people. It's coming unless we, the people, do something to stop it. And this is an opportunity to get the ball rolling. We need a national movement of awake Americans who are going to stand up and speak truth to these lying thugs and lawfully remove them from office, which is our right and our duty. And that has to happen. And it has to happen from we, the people.
All right. So let's write our 8 letters for Chris.
Yeah,
okay.
Please
and so I'm going to put that on the website also. So the website is michellemooreshow.com and it'll be the first black rectangle up there that'll say Jack and Margy Flynn, and you open that up and we'll have a folder inside of that says Chris letters. And then what we're going to do too is send me an email. If you're sending out the eight letters, send me an email and just let me know that you sent it. I want to see how many emails we get of people that did the letters, and that way it kind of gives us a gauge too of how effective was it, as well with when we see the outcome on the 24th, and we'll have you back right after that. Okay, Jack, Margy, thank you so much for being with us. I'm excited about this. And so let's just see, let's take a look. We're already seeing some results for them, and we've got this coming up on the 24th. And so we'll get an update, and look, if this works, then we'll look at doing more of this. And this time we'll do it for our viewers. So we'll look at doing it for you guys, and so a few people that maybe are viewers with the show and need help, and how we can pitch in and what we can do as a whole community. So let's see how it works. All right. So in the next 5 minutes or so, I'll have it up on MichelleMooreShow.com. See you right here next time on the Michelle Moore Show.
Are you tired of all the pills in your medicine cabinet? I'm Linda Bamber Olson, the creator of the Wave Watch, a more natural approach with 1,000 frequencies for mind and body. People have used the Wave Watch for kidney stones, arteries, blood, immune system, vagus nerve, myocarditis, allergies, colds and flu, ADD and ADHD, strokes, Parkinson's, carpal tunnel, thyroid, Lyme disease, and so much more. Wave Watch has a 1-year manufacturer's warranty for defects and flaws, and you can also upgrade to an additional warranty for water damage and breakage. Are you tired of all your pills and endless trips to the pharmacy? Why not try the Wave Watch with 1,000 different self-care ideas and put your mind at ease?
Just go to wavewatch.com. At checkout, use the code Michelle100 to receive $100 savings on your purchase.
I'm Dr. Fulgens. For over 30 years, UCB has helped customers strengthen portfolios with gold. But let them tell you in their own words.
Buying gold and silver from Universal Coin and Bullion has been one of the greatest experiences for me, and it's been an easy process and also a very safe process to do that.
Call now to secure your 1-ounce gold or silver American Eagle coin with no dealer markup.
Did you know your cell phone emits radiation that has been linked to increased risk of certain types of cancers? This is why manufacturers include hidden warnings to keep your phone away from your body. And what's worse is that children are more susceptible to the potentially damaging effects. Safe Sleep for cell phones is a case specifically designed to block radiation. Its shielding technology integrated into the case has been tested in a third-party FCC-accredited lab to block over 99% of RF and 92% of ELF radiation emitted by your phone. It also functions as a stand for watching videos and comes in a magnetically detachable style for some devices. Safe Sleeve also offers anti-radiation cases for tablets and laptops and has free shipping in the U.S. plus discounted worldwide shipping is available. Go to truthtalkamerica.com today and click on the Safe Sleep banner on the home page. Use the discount code FIRST10 at checkout for 10% off your first order.
For Michelle's social media links, go to MichelleMooreShow.com.